Good evening. Today I'll be showing you how to make a rolled omelet. There's generally two types of omelets. You have a folded omelet, which is literally an omelet, scrambled eggs with fillings, optional, folded in half. Or you have what is known as a rolled or a French omelet. This one, instead of folding in half, it is folded into thirds. So let's get started. So with your pan, of course, you want your pan hot, not too hot, because what will once happen, depending on what fat you put inside of it, it can burn. Some people are more comfortable with cooking with butter. I prefer olive oil or clarified butter just because their smoke point is much higher than that of whole butter. I'm using olive oil today, but also with their fat burning, you don't want your eggs to cook too fast to where it's still too custardy on the inside and it gets really, really dark on the outside. So, pour my oil. We want to make sure our oil gets hot before you actually put your eggs inside. Once it starts cooking, it will begin to what is called coagulate, which is just the irreversible transformation or transition from a liquid to a solid. Put our eggs in. Anyone who makes an omelet, it depends chef by chef. I like to move my omelet or my eggs around as if I'm about to make scrambled eggs, only because I like more volume when I am going to fold it. Some will just leave it as is, and it ends up being just a little bit flatter. As you can see, it's beginning to coagulate around the edges, meaning turning from a liquid to a solid. So while it's doing that, that's when, me personally, I will just move the eggs around just a little bit. You see little pillows of eggs starting to form. This is where I'm getting my volume from. But you don't want to continue doing that once it gets closer to complete coagulation, because then you will end up with scrambled eggs and not an omelet. So put it right in the middle. Like I said, awesome. There we go. So once it begins to coagulate a little more, I'll usually pull up the edges and let any of the excess egg run underneath it, so it's not too custardy up top when you're ready to get your eggs rolling. And if you have a really good non-stick pan, as well as the oil, the fat that I added to it, you'll notice the egg starts to slide around a bit. So sometimes it can be a little tricky to get that excess egg underneath how I really want it to. But that is perfectly fine. So, bottom is cooking. Once again, like I said, making sure that I don't get too much color underneath. This is the time that I would put my filling in. And I would put my filling right down the center, because I am going to fold it into thirds. And when I do that, I am going to fold and literally roll it out of the pan onto my plate that I have right here. So the fillings that I do have is just shredded cheese with herbs chopped inside of it. So I'm going to put that in the center. Any filling that you are doing, if it's something that needs to be cooked, shrimp, ground beef, anything like that, it needs to be cooked ahead of time. It's not going to cook inside of this pan, and so you're going to need to ensure that it is fully cooked before adding it into your omelet. So I am now going to fold it into a third, so third of the way. That's how I start. And see if I can do this. Oh, switch hands. Yep, I was right. Switch hands. That's why I love the non-stick. Grab my plate. I'm going to lay it on the pan and then finish rolling it out. So this is how you make a traditional rolled omelet. Well, I won't say traditional. A traditional French omelet or rolled omelet, it's a little bit more custardy, and they would normally slit down the center where all the custard, the super moistness is, and then add their filling in there. Like I mentioned with the folded omelet, I would just literally fold it in half completely so it kind of looked like a taco laying on its side. But this is a rolled omelet, and I hope you enjoyed the demonstration.